It is impossible to travel the streets of Northeast Denver and Five Points without thinking of the Cousins family and how the rich history of property, philanthropy, and music stretches throughout their lives. Charles L. Cousins was born in Big Stone Gap, Virginia in 1881.
The family moved to Atchison, Kansas.
He had to quit school after the 6th grade to help contribute financially to the family.
Being born in 1881, he really represented the first generation post-slavery.
He purchased his first home at the age of 17.
My grandfather and his wife, Alta, moved to Denver in 1909.
Was a self-made man in every regard. He taught himself the trades, built his own properties, and in doing so inspired Charles Jr. To be a self-starter.
And he did this on a Pullman porter's salary.
Charles and Alta Cousins were pioneer members of the historic Zion Baptist Church.
By the time that the Depression came, my grandfather had enough properties to be able to house people who would have otherwise been homeless. And he did that at no cost because he had a conscience.
What was extraordinary about both Charles Sr. and my grandfather is that they were part of what was really the vanguard of the civil rights movement. They unionized. They too were really part of an important evolution of race relations in the history of our country.
Charles R. Cousins was born in Denver in 1918.
See, there was 4 girls before I came along, and so they said they had a little brother. And when I go through 5 Points now, they say, "Hello, brother." Everybody calls me brother.
He was part of that generation that worked on the railroad. In order to work on the railroad, you had to have certain characteristics if you were black. You had to be handsome. You had to be very verbal, linguistically, and being able to talk to people.
Shortly after, he opened the 715 Bar in Denver. He married Dorothy Elizabeth Caldwell in 1947.
He was a firefighter, he was a cookie store owner, he was a car wash owner. He also accumulated property.
Music was a very important component in his life.
I know of every band that came into Denver because I like music that much.
He applied for and was issued the very first jukebox license.
From that, I got into the jukebox business in the late 30s, and I've been in it ever since.
He promoted many, many musical events. He was so proud to be nicknamed the mayor of Five Points. Unofficially, of course, but he was.
Though he was a friend and confidant colleague of the most powerful people in the city and the state, he was also a friend and an advocate of the most humble.
All the boys at Manual High School always knew Brother Cousins. If you were short of money and didn't have anything to eat, Brother Cousins would give it to you.
Our family had been displaced. He provided housing for them. I chose Charles Cousins to be named the Manual Citizen of the Century.
The license plate that he had on his car, "I owe you zero." You know, he believed in financial independence and financial empowerment for himself.
My father and grandfather didn't achieve what they did in a vacuum. They had strong women behind them.
He represented the best that the business world has to offer, but he also represented the best that human beings have to offer.